Justice League number 12, written by Jeff Johns, art by Jim Lee, Ivan Reyes, Joe Prado, and David Finch. Last issue left off with everyone seeing ghosts of dead relatives. This issue picks up with a recap of the arc as a whole, and it's being told from the perspective of everyone who saw the broadcast of Wonder Woman and Green Lantern getting in a fight. And basically it's coming down of hey, do we still trust the Justice League? Because clearly they are just as dysfunctional as anybody else. And they go through the whole history of Steve Trevor and how he was dating Wonder Woman and now he's a liaison and he works for Argus. And then David Graves and how he had a family that all fell terminally ill, but apparently he didn't actually die. And then we get to the story proper, where they're looking at the ghosts, and Wonder Woman's looking at the ghost of Steve Trevor, and Steve's like, hey, you were too late. Now please leave. I have to move on. And everyone else is talking to their respective ghosts, and they're like, this probably isn't true, guys. Everyone's aware of that. And they're like, yeah, totally. But what if it is? And Cyborg gets the weirdest one because he's seeing a ghost of himself. And the ghost is like, you're not the real me. You're just a machine that thinks it's me. The real Vic Stone died. So that's a cool one. But regardless, as they're talking to these ghosts, they transform into more demonic forms. And they start leeching off and attacking the League, and everyone's freaking out. They're like, oh God, what's going on? What do we do? And Graves finally steps in as they're all being weakened. He's like, I hated you, but now I kind of feel sorry for you, because after everything that I just saw, you are literally just like the rest of us. You aren't anything special, but I'm destroying the Justice League, but I don't hate you. I can't let anybody else put their faith in you. That's the whole point of this. But as they're doing so, as he's taking them all out and putting them under some weird, magical ice thing, he gets shot. And it doesn't do any real damage, but we see that it's Steve Trevor, who didn't actually die, which means that everyone immediately comes to the conclusion of, wait a minute, that means that the ghost wasn't Steve Trevor, which means these aren't real ghosts, which means, screw it, I have no guilt, pwah! And they all just fight against these little demonic things that are attacking them. And Steve says, I broke out of my restraints and I've just been wandering these halls and I've had these weird spirits chasing me. But I saw you, so I'm here to help. And Graves is like, nope, this only works if you're dead, so now I got to kill you. But then Wonder Woman steps up and they all start attacking Graves. And at this point, Batman's like, hey, Superman, try heat visioning him. And he blasts Graves. It doesn't seem to do anything. But Aquaman steps in and he's like, well, even if he's made of magic, he can still shatter like ice. And he uses his trident to start breaking apart Graves' outer shell. To which everyone's like, it sounds like when we're breaking him that those are the screams of children. Maybe we should stop. And Batman's like, we can't stop. Keep going. And eventually his entire outer shell crumbles, and the weird little demon spirit things, which they do say on one page here, are, what are they called? Prada, I believe they said they were. Pradas, which are apparently spiritual parasites. So the ones that were feeding on Graves end up flying away, and he just collapses and he's back down to being an old man. And he's like, oh God, why? Just kill me. You've taken away my family again. And Batman's like, yeah, but those weren't your family, and I think you knew that, didn't you? So 24 hours pass. Steve Trevor is in intensive care unit, and Wonder Woman comes up and is just like, I'm sorry, Steve. You're hurt because of me, because I'm so close to you. And Steve's like, you bitch. You're not close to me. The only time that I've seen you in the past year is through a computer. You quite literally could not be more distant from me. And it's like, still, I have to keep my distance from you. That's why we're going to be requesting a new liaison to the Justice League. And she's like, you think that I'm liaison because I just want to be near you? I thought of all people, you wouldn't think that I'm this little puppy trying to follow after you. I'm the head of Argus, goddammit. Nah, go away, Wonder Woman. I don't even want to talk to you. Get out of here. Go on, get. So then we get Graves is in Supermax or whatever like that, but we'll get back to him. And then we see the Justice League, who's looking over the news reports from the beginning and hearing all these people who are now doubting the Justice League and their ability to do anything. And they talk about it. And it's Batman, Flash, Cyborg, Green Lantern, and Aquaman. Superman and Wonder Woman are not present. And they're basically just talking through yeah, no, maybe Graves, they were the only people to survive out of a group that were attacked that day when Darkseid showed up. But they breathed in ash. And maybe we should have caught that. Maybe we made a mistake. But it's like Graves said, we're not gods. And we go down and we try to save everybody, but we can't save everybody. We just do as best we can. But it's still a goal that the Justice League should have. We still need to aspire to something higher. So, in the end, the result that they came to was Green Lantern decided, because of the footage that was shown, he was the one who started the fight with Wonder Woman. He has to be the scapegoat. So he's leaving the Justice League, and they're all going to like blame him for the stuff that happened. And after that, they can start to be better. They can start to work more as a team and like aspire to what the Justice League should have been in people's eyes. So he resigns and he leaves. But then we cut to Wonder Woman, who's just sitting on top of a building. Superman comes by and notices that, you know, she's alone, and they just talk for a while about how complicated human relationships are, how in order to keep the people around them safe, they have to keep them distant, and as such, they both just feel so alone, so isolated from everybody else, no matter how close they want to be. And in this moment, they share some vulnerability, and they lean in, and if you couldn't tell by the cover of this issue, they kiss each other. Superman and Wonder Woman, romantic couple, for the rest of the New 52. I know that happens. So, yeah, they're a thing. Last little page we got here is Amanda Waller visits David Graves in prison, leaves him a typewriter and says, hey, how about you write me a book called How to Defeat the Justice League? That'd be nice. I'll be back later. And he walks over to the typewriter, wheels himself to the typewriter, and starts typing The Villain's Journey by David Graves, which, by the way, is the name of the arc. Get it? It's a thing. So then the last 3 pages are all just teases of things coming up. Not really get too much into it. There's a Shazam thing. There's a traitor in the Justice League. And the big thing coming up is because the Justice League cannot be trusted, they have to form the Justice League of America, which will be written by Jeff Johns and David Finch, and have people like Martian Manhunter, Hawkman, Green Arrow, Catwoman, Steve Trevor, and a couple other people. And that's the thing. It was good. I think that the Villain's Journey as a whole was mediocre, I think, right up until this last issue. I think this is where it really all coalesced, when Graves really laid out of like, no, like, I don't care if like you guys live or die. It doesn't matter. I just don't want anyone to have any false hope in them. That, I think, really did tie it all together. I think that was a good way to like mark it down and say like, no, this is what this villain was doing, because it was really kind of amorphous the whole way through as to like what did he actually want to achieve. But once he laid it out, I think it was an interesting idea for a villain to say like, no, like, yeah, like whatever with you guys. I was let down by you guys, and I don't want that to happen again. So it's an interesting concept. Art-wise, pretty fantastic across. I do got to say, sometimes Jim Lee, he, especially in this first half here, he gets a little bit too scratchy for my likes, but it's still good. It's still solid art. So overall, I'm going to go ahead and say, 8.5. It's actually very well done. Maybe not the arc as a whole, but at least this one issue it is. Whether you like the Superman or Wonder Woman thing, it's done well. And Green Lantern resigning was also a good idea. Like, overall, I like it. It's solid. So, yeah, I am definitely interested to see where we're going from here. But next issue is Justice League Zero, which is a Shazam-only issue. So we'll be picking up this plot in Justice League 13.